Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope that you had a fantastic Thanksgiving with family and friends. And today I wanted to do a follow-up video on my stay at the monastery that more answered questions that you may have or provided you some information if you consider that this is something that you may want to do. Please be aware that the information that I'm giving you is specific to my stay at Tam Wua. So if you do another vipassana or another meditation at another monastery, things may be a little bit different. Okay, so I will link the monastery below, and then I will also link again, just like in my previous video, the transportation that I used to get from Chiang Mai up to Tam Wua, which is north of Pai on your way to Mae Hong Son. Okay, I think I got that. All right, so here we go. The first question that I made in my notes is, do you need to register? In this specific monastery at Tam Wua, you do not need to register. You basically just show up. So you show up anywhere from 9 to 4. They have a strict cutoff at 4. So if you show up at 4:30, you're not getting in. You do not need to register. They will find a place for you. And I believe after the first night that I was there, we were up to 143 people. They have dorms, they have houses, I believe, that have, individual houses that have 2 beds in them. And then they also have ones that just have a single bed in it. And the first night I was there, I slept on the floor. And so us girls were just all packed into this. So they will find space for you. So you just show up between those hours and you do not need to register ahead of time. I do know that I've talked to other people that have done vipassanas, and you do need to register and you do need to be accepted. But with this specific one, you just show up between the time and they will find a spot for you. All right, where is it? It is about, I believe, it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours north of Pai, and before you get to Mae Hong Son. When you book, if you book a van to get there and you're coming from Chiang Mai, you're actually gonna buy your van ticket, your bus ticket, or whatever from Chiang Mai to Mae Hong Son, and then you're gonna tell the driver to drop you off at Tam Wua, and they'll pull over on the side of the road, just like you'll see in the video where I got dropped off on the side of the road, and then you'll walk that little bit to the monastery. Now, if you're coming from Pai, and I'm not sure about coming south of Mae Hong Son, you can take the yellow bus, and the yellow bus will drive you directly into the monastery. But it's not that far of a walk. I mean, I had both my backpacks. I was fine. Yes, it was hot, but I mean, I wasn't struggling. So just, I make notes of that. Now, if you go on their website and they have a little drop down that says getting here, they do have very detailed information, some of the information that I'm giving you. So I'm giving you the basic information of what I needed to do to get there. If you decide you're gonna go, really kind of read that. And if you follow those steps, then you will have no problems with the transportation, okay? Does it cost anything to attend this meditation vipassana? It does not cost anything. Your accommodation and your food is included. If you, it's there. It's part of, funds at the community, funds that people donate, and all of that. Any money that the monastery makes goes to, provide all of that at no cost. Then when you're done, you certainly can make a donation. And so I think that you should make some type of donation based on your ability to pay something, because you can stay there and everything is covered. Now, the store that is up at the front, that is on you if you are going to purchase anything there, okay? How long are you able to stay there? This is available for you to come for a morning meditation, an afternoon meditation, a couple nights, or you can stay up to 10 days is the max. We did have a couple groups that basically, I don't know if they were locals, I don't know if they were people that were visiting that area that just came, attended the meditation, spent the night, and then they left the next day. They do have volunteer opportunities if you want to stay longer. I did meet one of the volunteers that had been there for about a month, but that is up to the discretion of the monastery. And not sure what type of housing, if you get an individual housing or if they have some different housing for the volunteers. But similar, if you are volunteering, these are the types of things that I saw the volunteers doing. They're helping out in the kitchen for food preparation. They're going around and making sure that the water pitchers are filled on the tables and there's clean glasses and there's coffee and tea and things are just getting wiped out and just cleaned. So there's not really a strict set of guidelines for a volunteer. I think they have the need, and it's going to be, if you decide you want to volunteer, it's going to depend on how many are already there and what they've been doing and where their need is. All right, so what are you going to be eating? You're not going to be eating meat. You're not going to be eating cheese. You're not going to be eating dairy. You're not going to get some scrambled eggs or poached eggs in the morning. Your diet is going to be pretty much rice, pastas, vegetables and fruits, and those are going to be things that they can grow at the monastery. Those are going to be things that sometimes I would see things, just random things show up, and I think that they were things that the community maybe blessed the monks with, and then they bring them back and they'll put them out on the table. So you're not necessarily going to have like a tray full of bananas. There might only be 6 or 7 because they had 6 or 7 bananas and they just put those out. And if you need to eat something in the evening time, because I know some people do have some, maybe health problems where you can't eat at 11 o'clock in the afternoon and then not eat again until 7 o'clock the next morning. There is a store up front and they do have things like ramen noodles, some sandwiches. One of my favorite things is they have these banana chips that were really yummy, and I love those for a crunch. And then depending on what the local village has time, there was sometimes when I go up, then there'd be a small salads in there or some fresh cut fruit in the cooler. They have ice cream. So they do have things that you can supplement if you need something else to eat in the evening. All right, what should you bring with you? Your basic toiletries that you use on a regular basis. You don't really need clothes, a lot of clothes, because they're going to provide you with white clothes. So if you would like to bring your own white attire, that's fine, but they have a plethora of white clothing there. I think probably some people come there and leave it, but they had, pants. They had more like a capri length pants there. They had skirts, they had short sleeve shirts, they had long sleeve shirts, they had button up shirts. So they had a good variety of sizes and things. So you don't really need to bring any special clothing other than your undergarments. And really just bring what you need. If you do need something to give you a little bit more support from sleeping on the plank, as I call it, because even if you end up getting an individual room, you're still going to have the type of bed that I had when I was able to move up from the floor after that first night. So I don't know if that's if you have a blow up mat, or if you just need to bring a thicker yoga mat than I had, or whatever. You may have hoodies or something in your bag that you're already traveling with. You certainly can get some extra padding. And if you're older like I am, I would encourage that. I had some bruising on my arms and on the sides of my legs and my hips from sleeping on my side at night. It didn't wake me up at night, but I felt it as the days went on, and I was there for a week. All right, let's talk about what your daily schedule is like. You are expected when you show up to follow the rules of the monastery and attend everything unless you have a reason, why not. I look at it like this: you're coming into somebody else's home, you're coming into somebody else's space. And at one point there was 143 people there, and that's 143 people that are there for meditation, are there for healing, are there for, whatever their reason is for being there. And so I feel that it's really important for everybody to follow those rules and regulations and the schedule that is in place, because then it's least disruptive to everybody else. Okay, so we're going to talk about what the schedule looks like. Now, there's a 5 a.m. morning meditation in your room. That's optional. Some people in my room would get up and meditate. Some just chose to sleep a little bit longer. And then at 6:30, you'll head over to the Dhamma hall, and then that's where we did the rice offering to the monks. So you can go over to the kitchen early in the morning if you would like to help out. Get breakfast ready, and then they'll serve a small helping of rice on a bunch of plates, and those plates are all on the table. And then when you go over to the Dhamma hall in the morning, you'll take one of those plates, and then that is what we made the rice offering to the monks. After that is done, then you have breakfast at 7 a.m. And then at 8 a.m. we have our first morning Dhamma talk, which is relatively short. And then we do the very slow, mindful walking meditation that was the first walking meditation in my video. At 10:30, there's a food offering to the monks for lunch, and this is different than the breakfast. So it's not all of us with a plate full of rice. There's typically 5 monks that come down, and there's typically 5 men that then their food is, they kind of like walk with the monks up to where all of the food is laid out on the tables, and they will serve up their plate for them and then walk it back. So you're really just kind of like sitting in the Dhamma hall, just watching this. We're not all serving the monks like we did in the morning breakfast. After that, then we have lunch at 11 o'clock. And then after 11 o'clock, you're kind of free until 12:50. And then 12:50, you have your afternoon Dhamma talk. And then the cave meditation walk, which is where we went up the stairs and I took you along the caves. And then when you go back, we have like a sitting meditation and then a lying down meditation. Of all of the Dhamma talks, and that, other than the slow walking meditation, I really like that. My favorite actually was the afternoon Dhamma talk. And part of that is because I feel like there was more insight given onto Buddhism. Typically that monk when the Dhamma talk was over and the meditation was over, he would stick around, and there was always a group of people that went up and asked questions. So that was some of my favorite. I always waited around for that and just listened to the questions and listened to the answers for that. And so that ends about, like, I want to say between 2 and 2:30, and then you're free until 4 o'clock. And from 4 to 5 is chore time, and everybody just helps. There's nobody that's an instructor that says, go do this, go do that. If you see a walkway that needs to be swept, grab a broom. If the dorm needs to be cleaned, clean the dorm. If the bathroom in your dorm needs to be cleaned, clean it. If there's leaves on the ground in an area, rake them into a pile, and then usually there's a group of us that would kind of go around with a little wagon and clean up the piles throughout. So you just find something, and that's an expectation that everybody helps out. At 5 o'clock, then you have free time from 5 to 6. And then at 6 o'clock is the evening chant, meditation, and Dhamma, which goes till about 7:30. And then after that, you're free for the evening. And most of the time, I would say about 50% of everybody goes down to where the store is in the front, and then you can buy coffee or get a snack, or people were on their phones or their laptop or whatever. And then the other half of people usually went back and showered and just kind of did whatever in their dorm room. But then it's kind of free time after that. And I think that is going to answer the majority of the questions that you may have about attending if you decide to go to Tam Wua and spend some time there. All right, so let's talk about what happens when you arrive. When you walk to the end of that road and you get to the information center. When you get to the information center, you will need to have your original passport, no copies or anything. You need to have your original passport, and then they will have you fill out some information on just their register that just has your name, the date that you arrive, and the date that you're leaving. This is not a prison. There was quite a few people that signed in and were there a day or two and left. They just decided that it wasn't something for them. It wasn't what they wanted, wasn't what they expected, whatever the reason. If you say you're going to stay there for 5 days and you decide after 3 that you want to leave, then that's fine. So when you decide to leave the monastery, all you need to do that morning is get up, and if you haven't arranged your own transportation, then you're just going to go to the information center in the morning, make sure you've cleaned up your area in your dorm, returned your bedding and your clothes. You show up at information by 8 a.m., and then the yellow buses will come, and then you take the yellow bus. I don't know much more about the yellow buses other than I took the one to Pi, which was like 2 hours, and then I think you could get transportation from there. But I spent the night, so I didn't have to worry about that all the same day. Or the same van that I took to get there, the same van system, and the link will be below, is going to start out at Mae Hong Son and will pick up at Tam Wua, and then you're going to walk to the road depending on the pickup time that you choose, and just there's a place to sit, and then you just wait, and then that van will stop, pick you up, and take you to Chiang Mai, or conversely take you to Mae Hong Son depending on the ticket that you bought. That ticket will have to be purchased before the day of. You can't just go walk out to the road and just hop on a random van like that. It'll be purchased, and then you'll know the relative time that it's going to show up, and you just have to be there. I think that's a pretty good overview. I hope that I gave a pretty good overview about what the processes and steps are. It's really pretty flexible, and their website actually is very easy to follow. As far as that, I just wanted to make this video so it was all consolidated, and I just kind of gave you a little bit more information, because when I was looking out on YouTube to try to find much information on like what did I need to bring, how did I get there, was there anything else specific that I needed to know, I've kind of felt it a little bit difficult to find. So I wanted to make sure that I put together a good overview if anybody wants to do this. It was a great experience. I will absolutely do it again. It's just, I don't even know how to describe it. And a lot of people attend these to heal from things, to facilitate maybe change, maybe to learn more about Buddhism. I mean, whatever the reasons are, everybody's reason's a little bit different. And some people may just want to go there and just be in silence. There's actually something really freeing about being in silence and not having any expectations of having to carry on a conversation, build relationships, anybody expecting you, that you can actually just be in your space with yourself somewhere beautiful. And I've seen a lot of people say I could never be silent, and I think you'd be surprised at what you can do. All right, that's all. Take care. If you have any additional questions that I didn't answer, please put them below, and I will make sure to answer those for you.